Welcome, everyone. Excited to have Joe Marckx with us today. Joe is a founder and a strategic marketing advisor at Digital Union Marketing, a boutique agency helping lifestyles and consumer brands scale through brand strategy, performance marketing, and AI powered visibility. With over 20 years of experience leading global to local marketing from brands like DVS Shoes and Osiris, Joe brings a sharp lens to the operational and creative challenges agency face today. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Hey, good morning, Enrique. Good to be here.
So tell me a little bit about your journey. You have worked with big names and lifestyle brands and now run your own agency. What inspired you to start Digital Union Marketing? And how did your past experiences with companies like DVS Shoes or Osiris influence that decision?
Yeah, right on. I won't get too much into my history, but I spent about 20 years in the action sports world, mostly around skateboarding and helping establish various brands, especially in the international markets. I did international sales for quite a few years. But at some point, right, as the world turns and our lives change and career goals evolve, I looked at e-commerce as the future of everything. And I started a family, so the international sales role was keeping me on the road a lot. I wanted to be closer to home, spend more time with my family. So I shifted and worked for an agency and had a amazing mentor that kind of taught me the ropes of digital marketing and e-commerce, and was there for quite a few years. And at some point, it made sense to start my own agency, my own operation. And so that's where we're at. That was about 3.5 years ago that we started Digital Union Marketing.
And in your own words, what makes Digital Union Marketing unique?
Yeah, well, you can't be everything to everyone, right? So my brothers, my partner Michael, and we have a lot of experience in the youth market, sporting goods, outdoor activities and just that overall active lifestyle. So, we like to partner with brands that are in those spaces because it's something, we feel like we truly understand, not just from a business standpoint, but also a consumer standpoint. Usually we are the target demographic. So whether we're working with a cycling brand or a running brand or an outdoor company, we feel like we have a genuine connection to the space. So, for us, that just creates a solid foundation versus just trying to help a random company sell a random widget.
Podcast is about the hidden costs of poor project management in agencies. From your perspective, what are some unseen ways that bad project management can hurt an agency or its clients? Have you ever witnessed a project go off track due to poor management, and what do you learn from that?
Yeah, well, yeah, every project can be unique, right? And that's where systems come in to hopefully keep things on track, right? If there's a framework that's proven and you can get the team to stay within those guardrails of the framework, we tend to see that leads to more success, right? From the client's perspective of the outcome, and also internally from a margin or profitability standpoint, and if we're able to efficiently complete the project as expected. So we work on a variety of projects. We don't just build websites, but we have built quite a few Shopify stores and Webflow sites. And so that's one example, right, where planning comes, because there can be a lot of scope creep with a project like building a website, right? So we like to scope that out with the client, so it's really clear ahead of time what the end goal looks like. So a lot of times, like construction, things take longer and cost more than originally envisioned. So we obviously try and limit those things from happening. So for us, right, it's about having a tight team, one that is been onboarded, trained, has specific expertise, areas of responsibility within each project. We use Basecamp for our project management. We like it. Seems like it's an intuitive tool. It's easy for everyone to use and stay organized and communicate within the project. We like to set up, depending on the project, regular check-ins with the client to show progress and get their feedback. So if things do change along the way, right, we can kind of course correct sooner than later. But as the world turns, right, we're in this new era of AI, and there's all sorts of amazing tools that are coming on board. So a lot of the traditional tools that we've used over the years, whether it's, the Google Suite or Airtable, Basecamp, Asana, all these other Trello, these project management tools, they still all have their place, but we can kind of add a layer of AI in to help us just get organized, create that structure, and potentially automate a lot of things just to make everything proceed smoother.
Hmm. And so, what practices do you use to keep everyone on the same page and avoid things falling through the cracks?
Like I said, it's a combination I mean, one, it starts with the culture of the company, right? What standards we hold each other to in terms of communication and accountability. So, when we hire someone, we make it really clear that, we're only as good as our communication. We need to have things tight internally so that we can, manage expectations and provide focused updates for the client at all steps or stages of projects. And so, like I said, Basecamp's a good tool to keep that going, but regular check-ins. So depending on the role, I'll have a weekly call with team members just to make sure that we've got total clarity, right, on where our priorities are, what our deadlines are, and make sure that there's no gaps and the understanding of what we're trying to execute on.
Agency leaders often struggle with bridging creative work and technical execution. Since our audience includes folks we need who need help with software development, how have you balanced the creative side of marketing with the technical side, like websites, e-commerce, or analytics implementations? Any tips on working effectively with technical teams or ensuring marketing projects hit the technical goals?
Yeah, I mean, right? We're creatives at heart, so that's the fun part of any project or client partnership. We typically like to start with the solid foundation of branding, right? So for us, a signature product or service is creating a brand Bible, and that creates a foundation which we can build everything else. The next layer might be a website, social media strategy, email marketing, SMS marketing. You know, uh, Working with creators, influencers to get fresh and extensive, content available for campaigns. So, we love that creative side. We love, defining a brand, whether it's an existing brand and helping it evolve, or if it's a startup, really bringing to life a brand voice, a brand personality, right? Something beyond just the visuals, just the logo, the font choice, color palettes, which of course all are meaningful and convey a lot about a brand, but also, that ethos, that vibe of a brand. So we love to bring that to life and then have that infuse every, short form video we put out, every, caption we write for a social media post to a weekly newsletter going out. But that being said, you can't get very far without the technical side in this day and age, right? So for us, primarily the foundational technical thing, besides, the obvious that you want the website to load quickly and, have its bells and whistles there from a technical SEO standpoint and, like I said, page load speed. But the most important thing on the technical side for us that we have to start with is the data feed, right? So tracking all the touch points across your digital marketing ecosystem and having a way to not only record the data, right, track it and then analyze it. And so we make sure everything's wired up, right? So you've got your Google Analytics, your Google Search Console, you've got and you got your various ad accounts. So depending on, where you're running ads, right? The common ones would be Meta ads, Google ads, but of course there's many other ad platforms out there. So we just make sure that all of that is firing together and that those integrations are working. So we have an accurate data feed. And then typically we like to build a custom dashboard that allows the client, the CEO, the founder to clearly see all the metrics that matter to their business, all the metrics that we've agreed on that we need to follow and understand. So we like to create those custom dashboards. It makes it easy for everyone to just really see how things are performing on that performance media side and the other analytics, right? That would, we'd commonly follow in a digital or e-commerce environment, right? Just how much traffic is coming through, what's the behavior, right? Are they coming and bouncing, or are they, staying longer sessions and visiting multiple pages? And then of course in e-commerce, right? It's product views, add to carts, checkouts, all those things that matter to the top line revenue. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing. I mean, we get more technical as needed with different um, integrations and feeds. But the main thing is, right, that just all your data sources are tracked, and you're able to not just collect a pile of data, but actually sift through it in a way that gives meaningful analysis for the people running the business.
Very insightful. What industry trends or changes are you most excited or concerned about right now? How do you see new technologies like AI changing the way agencies manage and deliver results?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible time we live in, right? And so we understand a lot of the concerns, right? That, machines are taking over our world and dehumanizing things. And we know, right, that that we we need the human spirit still to be part of our world and our businesses and our relationships can't all just be a bunch of bots interacting. No one wants to live in that world, right? So we understand the concerns of bots taking over things, but it's also an exciting time. It's a powerful technology, and we're only just scratching the surface of it, right? I think if you and I, Enrique, have this conversation and 3 or 5 years, right? The questions and the things we'll be talking about will be very different than they are today here in, April of 2026. Despite those, valid concerns, it's a time of opportunity, right? And so I think that whether it's the people, creating new applications of this immense kind of leap in technology or just adopting it for your own workflows. So that's where we're at. We're just trying to adopt AI to make us more efficient, right? More productive so that we can produce better work quicker for clients. At the heart of what we do is driving value for clients' businesses. And if we can, drive value in our business by getting better work done more efficiently, we can carry that over into how we partner with our clients. So for us, right, something as simple as directing traffic. So I've created a request form. So clients, have an ongoing series of projects, requests, initiatives that they need us to execute. So I have a form. That form is a base and Airtable, and it's got all the relevant stuff that we need to understand as a team to be able to execute their project correctly the first time. And so we just ask that they just go through the form and fill out the fields, and then that goes into Airtable. Then I look at it, make sure it's clear, and then I assign it to a team member, and then that shoots into Basecamp, and all the data, whether it's a file or instructions or a creative brief or anything that might have been dropped into that request form, goes into Basecamp, and it alerts the team member that they've got a new task with a deadline and with that. And then from there, we can communicate and clarify within Basecamp. But it saves me from having to, figure out every single piece of the task and put it in manually into Basecamp like we've done in the past. So kind of excited about using AI for those efficiencies. Another thing that we're focused on developing is I also produce a podcast, and it's not a daily podcast, it's not a news-based podcast. So we publish 2 episodes a month. But even with 2 episodes a month, right? So, okay, you can get your guests scheduled, you can record here in our podcast software in Riverside, and that's great. But what happens, to that workflow after the raw recording is done? And so for us, we're really trying to streamline post-production, right? And getting a finished file that's got the quality of the audio and video that we need for our channels, but also for promotion. And so we're kind of auditing that whole workflow and analyzing where we can incorporate AI and N8N automations into a end-to-end post-production and promotion workflow, getting clips out of it, writing a blog post from a synopsis, I mean, just the show notes. And so, I mean, if we had to manually go through transcripts, right, and look for moments and timestamps and all of that, and write everything up, it would be really time consuming. So there's, even with our basic workflow we have now, it's certainly the efficiencies enhanced, but we're really just trying to push that into a series of automations with N8N to just get it done quicker with less human lift, but also just amplify to our audiences for promotion purposes and hit our goals of, followers and downloads and engagement with the podcast. So it's another thing that we're currently focused on incorporating AI into our workflows.
Nice. And these are very valuable insights and really nice stories. Looking ahead into Q3, what signals or metrics will you be watching to know that you are being successful and that you are getting to your targets, to your aspirations?
There's internal goals, right? So, how are we more efficient, hopefully, as a company as we implement these projects and these efficiencies? Are we able to essentially bill our clients for more without having to add payroll, right? Can we get quality work done quicker without and hence more profitably, right? Without having to add the overhead. So, that's one thing on the agency side. On the podcast side, it would be, are we able to really hit our promotional goals and asset output on a post-production promotion level that's extremely streamlined, right? Without having to have a small team of people, touching things all along the way. But on the client side, right, one of the things we've been looking at for over a year now, and it's really starting to come together. I think we were maybe a little bit of an early adopter is, the shift from SEO, right? Or visibility with Google on your organic traffic without having to pay for traffic, such as, Google search ads, and the shift over to AEO or GEO, which is really, right, just visibility within LLM, such as Perplexity and ChatGPT and Claude, and getting your company, your product, your service recommended based on queries that potential clients or consumers are having with these LLMs. And so for us, especially on e-commerce now that ChatGPT and Shopify have this baked in integration is seeing that there's just this massive shift. I mean, Google still processes tons of traffic, right? Tons of queries. ChatGPT has not overtaken it. But the thing is, here in the US, like 50% of searches don't result in a click anymore. People scan that AI overview and they're good. They aren't going anywhere. So what we really want to do is capture that high intent traffic from, we'll say, the ChatGPT side, where people are going in and, we used to want to, let's say we're a running shoe company, right? And we would want to win the Google search, the short tail search for best running shoes, for example, right? To use something really simple. And now people are going in to ChatGPT and they're having a full blown conversation. Help me find running shoes. Like, I need trail runners. I wear a size 10. I don't want to spend more than whatever the budget is, $150, $100, whatever their budget is. Um, I need waterproof. I need this. And really helping our clients, especially in the Shopify environment, down at the product level, the PDP, having everything from the front end stuff, the images and the copy that people see in the FAQs and this product specs, but also that back end data layer that makes it easy for LLMs to read and understand exactly what's going on with that product. And of course, there's more to it, right? There's the third party sites, the reviews, and press releases and other information that the LLMs are going to be scanning in addition just to what's on your website and that data layer on your product pages. But for us, in an e-commerce environment, that's extremely important to master that LLM visibility. So we feel like we're on the forefront of that and we can really help clients capture that traffic that's proven even in this nascent period of just the last year, that when people get referred from ChatGPT, their propensity to convert, right, to purchase is much higher than a click from Google or a click from an ad or some other traffic source. So we feel like that, as we move into Q3 and beyond, is going to be extremely valuable for any of our clients in e-commerce.
Wow, Joe, that was really incredibly insightful. I appreciate your openness and examples. Any last closing statement that you would like to make to our audience and to this podcast?
No, I would say, right, that in business, like in life, balance is everything. And so I think that we need to, continue to hold on to what makes us human and our personal connections, our relationships, like you and I just business person to business person, respected colleague to respected colleague here, Enrique, just having, insightful conversations, right? I don't think I'm going to get that excited about, talking to Claude like I am with you, right? Or connecting with a client. So I think, we need to hold on to what makes us human and human interactions and human creativity, but also embrace the power and the efficiencies that AI can bring into our world. I think that there's a ton of opportunity there, and it's just moving so quickly. I would say now's the best time, right, to jump in and we don't have to necessarily fear monger here. Oh my God, everything's lost if you don't master AI this year and you'll, lose your job or you won't be able to function. I don't think it's that drastic, but I do think that the sooner you jump in and start kind of finding ways that is specific to your business, use cases on how technology, aka AI now, can move the needle right towards your business goals. I think now is a great time. With one of my businesses, we just did an audit recently, and it's like we clearly defined our business goals, areas where, as a founder, where you still totally want to be involved and you're not willing to hand it over, areas where you may be happy to hand over things, whether it's to a new coworker or to AI automations, and just looking through that audit to uncover where technology can be most impactful to your business and your specific goals. So it's going to be different for every business, and every business owner is going to have their own personal approach to it. I would say, now's a great time to start thinking about it and implementing things that make sense for your own business.
Nice. Thank you so much, Joe, for your time today. I really appreciate it. I mean, this has been very valuable, very nice insights and stories. So thank you so much again for being here.
Yeah, right on. Well, always a pleasure to chat with you, Enrique, and thanks for having me on.